Let me out of here!
Looks like it's time for you punks to go.
Episode 45 of the Road Podcast. I'm recording it about 15 hours before it's supposed to come out. So yeah, running late this week. I should preface this episode by telling a little story about how dumb I am. You might have seen it on my Instagram stories about 3 days ago, maybe 2 days ago. So firstly, myself and Neve went to a restaurant in Dublin. So we drove all the way from Wexford to go to this place because it's booked out a lot. So we took a Thursday booking and said, let's just go. Six by Nico, very cool restaurant. If anybody's interested in checking it, it's like you get like 8 small dishes instead of like a big mains or whatever, and you get to taste all these different themed menus. It's pretty cool. Bit upmarket for the likes of me, like proletarians such as myself, but sure, look, they let us in, so here we are. But anyway, that's not the story. It's on the way back. The way back from there is where the chaos ensued. So we were driving my car. Long journeys, we normally drive Neve's car because it's diesel, right? And mine's petrol. But diesel prices are gone crazy. So we're like, we'll just drive my car. So I've been running around kind of so busy the last few months since I undertook this solo journey, and even before then, podcasting, running the band, not running the band, but being part of the band, doing podcast, working full time, trying to work side hustles to develop as well, all at the same time. So I've been so busy the last 6 months that I didn't even realise I'd made a fundamental error with regards to my car. So we're driving back from town, Dublin City, to Wexford, and we pull off. We're on, say, we're near exit 14 or 15 of the motorway, and we pull off from Dunleary onto that motorway. And I said to Neve, I looked in the rear view, I said, the way there's a Garda car behind me, and the way it's tracking me, like I'd switch lane and it would switch lane. My experience told me that, I said to her, these are going to pull me over because my tax is out 2 or 3 weeks. And I was like, I said, I'll just tell them I forgot about it and I'm going to sort it out tomorrow and they'll let us go. So sure enough, blue lights came on the motorway and I had to pull over at the side of the motorway. And I was like, here we go. It's getting late at this stage, and Neve was in work tomorrow, so was I. So trying to get back to Wexford, and I put the window down. I had my license ready for him. And he said to me, is this your car? And I said, yeah, it's my car. He said, how long have you had it? I said, about 18 months. And I said, I know the tax is out. I'm sorry, I know it's out a few weeks. I've been meaning to do that. And there's 3 guards at my car at this stage, right? 2 younger ones and one fella about, he's late 30s fellow, I'd say. And he looks at me and he says, your tax, I don't mind, like, that's fine. He said, but you have no insurance. I was like, what? I says, I have insurance. He goes, your insurance is expired. Your insurance is expired. You're driving this car with no insurance as we speak. And I was like, oh shit. I've been so busy. I just totally forgot. I paid my insurance up front, right, every year. And I don't think I got any reminder emails or anything. So I was checking my emails. There's no reminders about my insurance expiring. You know, when you get quotes and all that. Didn't get anything like that. So I said to him, man, shit, like, sorry, I'm just on the way back to Wexford now. And he said to me, well, you won't be driving this car back to Wexford. So me and Neve were taking out a car on Thursday night. And just the car was to get towed away, yeah. I'm a criminal, people. I'm a bleeding criminal. So, yeah, we were left there at the motorway, and he said to me, I can't leave you on the motorway, but I can't let you drive your car off the motorway. So I was like thinking, how am I going to get back to Wexford now at, like, what was it, 11 o'clock at night on a Thursday? And we were looking at our phones, and there was a late bus running in 20 minutes in Dunleary, like in Loughlinstown. And in fairness to the guard, man, they dropped us to the fucking bus stop to get the bus back to Wexford. But yeah, I'm going to be in court now for driving with no insurance. Disaster I am. I'm a disaster. I need to write everything down. Use Google Calendar better because, yeah, that's going to cost me big money now. I'd say I'll be in court. I'm going to get fined. I'm hopefully not going to lose my license. Disaster. But anyway, part of being a podcaster and part of working on social media is that you got to tell everybody. You don't have to, but I'm an open book. I think most people are fakes. I'm an open book. I'll tell you what's happening in my life. I don't care. So feel free to give me stick. Driving with no insurance for months. Didn't even realise. Yeah. Anyway, this week's episode is not about me being a criminal, but it is kind of about me. So I just felt like I promised we're doing Epstein this week, and Epstein is listed in to be for the next episode. I apologise. I wanted to push it off because I had scheduling issues and I just don't want to rush it. I want it to be done right. So I'm going to do that next time. So this time I just thought with the journey I'm on, and I do get people texting me now, which is cool. I get people texting me just saying, oh, how are you getting on? I see you've gone out on your own and you've taken a big risk and all that. How's it going? And people are genuinely interested in it, which surprises me, but that's cool. That's cool. I suppose if I was looking at someone similar to my circumstance that done something that I wanted to do, I would probably keep an eye on that. So I do appreciate that. But that got me thinking, I'm about 6 weeks out working on my own, maybe 5 or 6 weeks. And I just said, you know what, maybe I'll tell people about why I done it and where I'm at and the slip ups and the highs and the lows of it. Because I'm sure there's people out there who are doing what I'm doing or who are thinking about doing something like I'm doing. I get messages saying that. So I said, should we may as well talk about it? So the theme of this episode is kind of about where I was at when I decided to walk out of my job with no backup plan after 20 odd years of being a car mechanic. What I knew in my mind, and eventually standing in front of those thoughts and saying, look, facing them and saying, you know what you need to do. So it was almost like Stockholm Syndrome. My career has almost been like Stockholm Syndrome, where I was in a position where I was working, doing something that I didn't really want to do. I was just kind of dropped into an apprenticeship as a young kid because that's what people were told to do. And you didn't know. You come out of school, you don't even know who the fuck you are. Never mind what you're supposed to do for the rest of your life, right? I don't think I'm alone in that. So I ended up in an apprenticeship as a car mechanic, even though I knew nothing about cars, and my parents never even had a car because they didn't have money to have a car. But I ended up there anyway. And I think I've met a lot of nice people along the way and I've no regrets at all. I still have friends in the game, but I think for me it was a case of being comfortably numb and comfortably stuck. Like I knew I wasn't really happy for all these years, but my bills got paid and I felt like the devil I knew was better than the devil I don't, right? And I've wrestled with that feeling for 15 to 20 years. I've wrestled with that inner conflict for 15 to 20 years, man. Like that demon inside of me that I wrestled with was just getting bigger and bigger. And I knew that demon was built around the fact that I knew I wasn't where I should be in life, that my aspirations were higher than where I was. And that's not to belittle what I done or anyone else that does it. It's just my heart was never in it, you know. I worked with people who fix cars 9 to 5 like I did, and then go home and fix more cars because they just fucking love it, you know. Whereas I went home and I was writing songs, or I was trying to build a website, or trying to start a business, or trying to come up with ideas of how I was going to get out. I was always trying to get out. When I was an apprentice, I said this in one of my earliest episodes, I was like part of the elements, and we were like at the time making such a mark on a scene that didn't quite really exist. It was so small, but we were making such a bang on it that we actually thought that we might do it. You know, we might make Irish hip hop a thing in Ireland in 2001, 2002. And I remember saying to my mates, sure, look, I'm not going to finish this apprenticeship because we're going to be doing our thing. This is just a step. This is a backup plan in case. Well, that backup plan worked itself to the forefront after a couple of years, and I found myself just in it. I think that happens with loads of stuff in life, right? But I felt like I was metaphorically in a jail cell. That I walked down them hallways, shoes clonking off the cold concrete, right? And I opened my own cell, but like that noise, those cells opening in Alcatraz that time when we were in San Francisco. All the clanging, the chinging, and then I got into the cell and I closed it over, and I sat there and I complained about it for 8 hours, and then somebody came and let me out of cell and told me not to go too far though because I need you here tomorrow. And I came back tomorrow and I done it again. That's what I felt like I was doing, and I just wonder sometimes how many other people feel like that, you know? And oh man, there was a couple of times where I actually got out. Andy Dufresne dug the fucking hole, the back of the vent, and I got out. I went to college for 3 years to do a business degree to get out mechanics, and I topped my class. As a 30-year-old, I went back to full-time education and delivered pizzas at night to survive. And I got top of my class, man. And I still ended up back in a garage again somehow. And I kicked myself over that. But I think all these things happen for a reason, so I need to release that sometimes and just let it go, and just be comfortable with who I am now. You know, I remember when I was in the Elements, and we had a song called "Life's Lessons." I think it was like only like the fourth or fifth song we really wrote together as a full squad, and I had a line in it, like as an 18 or 19-year-old, I said, "Regret seems to be depression's main weapon, can't forget the times I paused when I should have been stepping and I let my fears get the best of me," right? And I continue to do that for 15, 16, 17, 18 years, maybe longer. Even though back then I knew you know what you should be doing. Stop having those regrets. The times you paused when you should have been stepping and you let your fears get the best of you, well, stop doing that. But I still close the cell door behind me every day because there was a comfort in knowing the cell I existed in, right? It was a sense of self-preservation. The fear of the unknown was seemed to be a bigger monster than the shit I was living in, you know? At the time, I was conditioned. I conditioned myself, and the primary thing I say to people, and I'm not a life coach, but I don't care. This is my podcast. I can say whatever I want. The primary thing is to take ownership of your mistakes, take accountability. If you start blaming other people for all the shit in your life and the failures, well, then you are goosed, my friend. You have to say, no, that's my fault. Let's do an example off the cuff. It's my fault that I'm going to be in court now in 2 months' time, standing in front of a judge asking him not to take my license away. That's my fault. I fucking totally fucked up and didn't schedule in to check when my insurance was up, right? And ring around and get it sorted. That's my fault. People are saying to me, oh, your insurance company is legally obliged to contact you when your insurance is expiring and all. So what? So what if they didn't? It's still my fault, right? So you have to take ownership of that. And I think when I was young, the generation I grew up in, like in the 80s, growing up in the 80s and early 90s, was like tough, man. Like way tougher than it is now. People have access to so much stuff now, and they complain like fuck, but it was fun. but it was tougher when we were growing up, and our parents had it even tougher than us, and their parents had it way tougher than them even. So I'm not saying, oh, my life was hard. It wasn't. I was fed every day and I was clothed every day, man, and I had great parents. But and it's nobody's fault. It's conditioning due to the circumstances you grow up in. But my parents grew up in a time where having food was a bonus, right? Having fucking something in the fridge was a bonus. They had like toilets out in back gardens, man. You haven't got a clue. And so what do you think they're going to think when they have children? They're going to want their children to survive. They're just going to think, I just want my kids to have a good, solid job, a solid income, and they can get their own house and they're going to be fine because I finally got there. That's what they're thinking. They finally got there when they got older and they worked hard and they finally got a home for their children to be raised in. So they pass that on thinking that that's the best thing they can do. And it is the best thing they can do. But where we were from, man, we were from working class area. It didn't go beyond that for most of us. We weren't really taught how to flourish and how to excel and how to learn and develop things. And it's nobody's fault. It's just the way it is. You get a good job and you get paid, you pay your bills, you have a few points at the weekend, you go on holiday once a year and you fucking thumbs up life and you watch the football. And that's just the way it was, man, you know? So it's just conditioned, like you're conditioned like that as a young kid. And it's very hard to break that concrete mold from your mind. And the school system was the same. I don't care what anyone says, man. I think the school system, certainly when I was young, was flawed to hell. It's shaped around people who excel in school are mostly people who are good at memorizing shit, dates, figures, mathematics, and its actual practical application in life is questionable. That's debatable, right? But when I was in school, because I wasn't really necessarily good at any of that kind of stuff, you just kind of get pushed to the side. And, oh, well, look, you're a 200 point kind of student. That's just your role now. You know what I mean? You're 15, 16, and you're kind of being told like, oh yeah, it's all right. You can still go and you can clean fucking cars, or you can go and like work somewhere where you can sweep warehouses, man. There's still work for you. You're going to be okay, but you're not going to be like these guys who got 600 points and are going to college, you know? And the truth is, some of the people I've seen do so well in life since would have been the lower point system students, but they shaped their mentality to being monsters, right? And I think school needs to help people develop business mindset more. You know, and it probably does now, but when I was in school, it didn't. Entrepreneurial mindsets are the key to future growth now, as the way technology is moving. And I can just go into that further another time. But I felt like, yeah, it was a survival mindset at the time, and it was very hard for me to get out of it. And I've been thinking about getting out of it for so long, but I just let my fears take over me. But recently, I've just been waking up. And the first thing I think is of, oh, here you go, putting yourself back into a situation you don't want to be in, you know? And to wake up like every day and think like that, I, I know there's hundreds of you out there that are looking at me saying, this is the way I think. Well, that's not really okay, man. I'm sorry. You can do better than that. And I started to realize, man, I've done all this crazy shit in life, and maybe I can use some of the skills I've developed and apply them into different fields, and I can work for myself instead of making loads of money for somebody else who gives me a fucking report sheet at the end of the month and says my 89.4% of this isn't quite good enough. I'd like you at 92. Well, fuck you, man. Fuck you. I'm gonna go make money for myself. And it was like the snap moment. I just snapped out of it. And the voice was getting bigger and bigger. And there was this moment where I was on the way to my second funeral wake of the week, very recently, like January, with two of my work colleagues, two of my friends, driving to the second wake on a fucking Wednesday. It was a Wednesday, after work, straight after work, still in our uniforms, going to the wake. And we're in the car, and I just sitting on the front passenger seat, and I just said, lads, I'm handing in my notice tomorrow. And for me, it was like, if I say something and I put it out into the universe, I have to follow up on whatever I say I was going to do. So I said it. I said, I'm handing in my notice tomorrow, 2 weeks' notice, tomorrow, first thing. And obviously, it knocked them back a bit. And I did. I went in the next day, the next morning, said hello to my two colleagues first thing in the morning, and I walked past one of them. I said, I'm going up to do it now. And I went up and I done it. I just went up and I handed in my notice. And they said, what are you going to do? And I said, I don't know. But I'm not going to do this. I'm just going to go. 2 weeks notice, handed in, done, bang. And when I walked down them steps after coming out of that meeting, um, it was like the cell door was opening again. You know what I mean? The cell door was opening and I was walking out of it, and I take the last step down the stairs, and as my foot hits the floor with the doof rhythm, it was joined by another high-pitched clanking noise of the handcuffs hitting the deck too. And I felt like I was finally liberated. Liberated in the fact that I didn't know where I was going to be in 2 weeks' time, and I didn't know what I was going to do, and I didn't know how I was going to make money. And I was liberated in that because I had been so scheduled for 20 odd years to do what I had to do. The unknown was like the most tempting thing to put in front of me was the unknown. You know what I'm saying? It sounds crazy, and it is a bit crazy, but that's the truth of it. That's how I felt. And that brings me to where I'm at now. Since February the 5th, I've been on my own with no particularly trustable source of income. I'm just Adam Swords, this media guy who does stuff for people. You ask me what I do. What do you do now? I don't know. I'm a social media growth operator. I help people with their social media presence. I make it stronger. That's what I do now. I do it through film, I do it through edit, and I do it through concepts and ideas. I take their Instagrams and their Facebooks and their TikToks, and I look at them and I tell them what they can do better, and I help them do that. And that's what I'm doing now, but I don't know what I'm going to be doing in 6 months' time. And that's kind of cool. That's kind of cool. I'm on the bread line, but I know if I work and I keep developing my skills, I'm going to just continue to get bigger and bigger and do whatever I want. And I sometimes have to pinch myself and say, like, for about 3 weeks, 4 weeks after I quit my job, I had to pinch myself and say, yeah, it's 11 o'clock. You're supposed to be going on your little coffee break now with your job, you know? And I had such a structured life for so long, man, that one of the challenges is, and I think people who have gone out on their own as a bit in a business mindset can relate to this. I'd been told what to do and when to do it for 20 years. And I knew exactly how much I was going to get paid for that. And now I don't know if I'm getting paid. And I have to go and find what I have to do and when I have to do it. And I have to try and get my mind thinking systematically where it didn't have to before, you know. And that's part of the challenge. And it makes me laugh because I'm constantly saying, I need to do this, I need to do that. But I'm starting to figure it out. I'm starting to balance it. And I'm starting to come into a flow now. And I'm starting to get so good at things that I had no idea about. And I'm sitting here like filming cars, editing cars reels to make them look cool. And I'm just like, I didn't even know I was going to be doing this 4 or 5 weeks ago. And it's chaotic and it's crazy. And I'm going on holidays next week and I don't even know if I can pay for it, right? But it's all right, man. It's going to be okay because I'm no longer comfortably numb. I'm uncomfortable and I'm super comfortable with that. You know, I'm at peace with chaos. I am at peace with chaos. And I implore you guys to keep an eye on me online because I just put it all out there. I'll just tell people what it's like. And I think for me 2 years ago, I would have liked to follow someone's journey like mine and say, oh, fuck, if he can do it, maybe I can do it, you know? And everybody's got ideas. Everybody's got ideas of what they might be able to do. And the the way technology is shifting now, man, you can start your own business. And if it doesn't work, you'll be fine. You can figure it out. It's stuff is far easier to try now than it used to be. But there's this thing, right? And this is the thing that brings you back to your cell. Like I've been brought back to my cell a number of times. I got out of cell for 3 years to do college, and then I went back in. And it's like now you can almost feel a hand grabbing your forearm and trying to pull you back sometimes, and it's doubt. It's doubt that does that. Sometimes I have to grab myself and stop myself because you find yourself saying, like, you don't really know what you're doing. Like, I know people think you know what you're doing, but you don't really know, and you're not as good as him, and you're not as good as her at that, and you're not as good as them at this. And will you ever be that good? Maybe you should just go back and be a mechanic again because you're all right at that. You know what I'm saying? Maybe it's just go back. They'll take you back, and everyone will forget that you tried. They'll forget about it, and you'll just be one of the lads again in no time, and everything will be all right. But you gotta grab that thought, right? Take it out and strangle that motherfucker. Dig the fucking grave for it straight away and bury it. Stand on that thing. Because that's just doubt. And that's what built that demon of regret inside of me. It was fueled and fed off all my doubts. And the primary way to get past this thing, because everybody has this and it kills some people, the doubt, man, and the lack of belief in self will just strangle you, stop you from doing anything. It'll choke the life and the ambition out of you. Have people around you that reaffirm your beliefs that you can do it is so important, man. It's so important. I've got good people around me that tell me, like, man, you used to not be able to do half of this shit. Look at you now. You're better than everyone, and if you apply your mind to these things, you can do it. And doubt will come and try and grab your forearm. Doubt will try and grab your forearm from time to time. For some people, it's more often than others, but just try and have a crew around you that will realign you. And I have a few people that do that, and it's a superpower. And if anybody ever wants to talk to me about their struggles and their business struggles or their life struggles, I can be that pillar for you too, I hope, because I'm lucky enough to get that from other people, so I need to give that back. And yeah, I just have a reality check, and I tell myself, no, look what you made last week. You're cool. I mean, look at that video. That's awesome. That video hit 112,000 views, like, in a week. That's fucking good, and you say, it's okay. I need to own those victories as well, as Johnny Maloney often tells me. I need to enjoy the moments, the victories. So yeah, I do try and savor those little mini achievements, but I want 150k views next. You know what I mean? I want 200,000 views on people's videos, not mine. My clients, my videos that's just me talking shit, but I love that. That's different. So yeah, it was an identity shift that's still in flux, but it's gone from mechanic to media as such. If I was to give it 2 words, that's what I'm at. And I'm starting to feel like, I'm over in the media side more. Where I was like magnetized to the mechanic side and my ideas would just be pulled back into that. But now I'm kind of hanging over the media side, and I look back at over my shoulder sometimes in my past, and I say, wow, that's the past now. That's the past. And there's some great times, and it's helped me build who I am. But I'm having more fun in saying, what the hell am I going to do tomorrow now? I love that. And the word work, I have a conflict with the word work now because I work for myself and I'm an entrepreneur and all that, right? But it's not really work, man. It doesn't feel like work. I could be going upstairs to the office, the studio or whatever at 8 o'clock at night on a Sunday. Like, it's Sunday now at 1 o'clock and I'm banging out a podcast. It's not work. I feel like I have a sense of self-achievement when I finish these things. So I don't really care anymore. I used to be so ingrained in the Monday to Fridays where I do stuff I don't want to do, and then the weekend, hopefully I could squeeze something in that I like to do. But now I can just, there's no structure. Everything's in flux, and I can go and do this, and then I can come back and do a bit of work after, and I can go and do VR over here and go to Six by Nico on a Thursday, and when I come home I can do a bit of work, or on Friday I'll do a bit of extra work, and it's fine. And that kind of freedom is really what I enjoy about it, you know. And as things develop, I'll probably be working, quote, more often to try and build this, but it's going to be a trophy of mine. You know what I mean? It's going to be fucking cool. So that's the bigger picture. That's it. And the, I think the primary mentality shift I would have and would pass on to other people is that when we were young, knowledge was power, right? Knowledge was the key. To know something was a superpower that you had over people. So that's why you went to college. So you would learn stuff that other people didn't know, because information was hard to find and it was finite, and you had to learn this thing and join this club and go to this library and look that stuff up. And the pre-internet was way harder. But now knowledge is infinite. You can find anything out about anything on your phone in 10 seconds. So that the currency in knowledge has dissipated now. It's reduced. So now the the power is in skills. So you need to go and find the knowledge that applies to whatever you want to do and turn that into a skill that nobody else has. And the cool thing about that is that's pretty much free. That's the difference now. You don't need the $5,000 college. You can learn anything now on your fucking laptop or your phone, and you can turn that into a skill. You can take that skill and you can set up your own business with it. And the only thing you need to invest in that is energy and time. Something that we all have, right? We all have time somewhere. I know people say they don't, but we do. And if you have the energy, the ambition to do it, you can do it. And I kind of just discovered that. I kick myself sometimes. I'm like, what the fuck, man? You're just working for yourself now? It's crazy. And that's the truth. Knowledge, the power in knowledge now has shifted into developing that knowledge and turning it into a skill, which can be done now much, much easier than it used to be. So we really don't have excuses. And I think that's one of the reasons I got out. I was just like, fuck it, I know what I need to do and I know how I can figure it out. So who knows where I'm going to go? I don't even know. I'm just going to find stuff I like doing and I'm going to build on it. And I'm going to build, I'm hoping in the next couple of years to build a team of people I like working with that team on projects I like and enjoying the whole process, because we do not know what tomorrow holds, and we certainly don't know what happens after we close our eyes for the last time. So while my eyes are open, I'm going to try and enjoy the process. And I don't really see the point if I don't enjoy it. What's the point in doing this? What's the point in running this story if I don't enjoy it, right? I got to do something that I'm passionate about. And if I don't, I just at the age of 40, I realized if I don't do something I'm passionate about, well, then what's the point in doing this stuff? You know, I only rely on myself, so I can kind of do whatever I want. I just didn't want to play the game anymore. I didn't want to play the game I was conditioned in by society to play. Like sometimes I just look at it and go, is that what we're supposed to do? Or are we supposed to just get up, go to school, get out of school, work for somebody else for our whole life until they don't need us anymore? And then they give us a watch and a letter saying thank you for your help. And then we go off and we rot away somewhere and that's it. And then you're forgotten about. Employee number 600 was good for 20 years, but now we're on to employee 10,004, so we don't need to talk about 600 anymore. And that's it. I'd rather gamble. I'd rather gamble. I don't know if I'm getting paid tomorrow. I'm okay with that. I I actually enjoy the potential starvation over over the mundane. I will starve instead of sit in mundane with a full stomach. And I've no regrets over what I've done. 6 weeks in, it's very early. I've zero regrets. And if anybody wants to chat about their ideas or something they'd love to pursue, man, just hit me up. I'll talk to you about it because I think it's fucking cool. And maybe I'll get something off you and you'll get something off me. And that's kind of it. That's kind of where my head's at now. I just felt like taking my head off, right? Putting it into the camera and letting you read what's going on in there for a few minutes. So that is episode 45, guys. I just let you travel around my head for a while. And look, I enjoy when people tell me what they would like to have on the podcast for ideas. Some people are doing it lately, and I think that's cool. And I want to do stuff that you are interested in as well. So hit me up. If this episode has an effect on anyone, let me know. That would be fucking cool. If not, you can get back out of my head now and I'll let you go home. Have a good week, people. I love yous all. Thanks for tuning in.